I am going to try to not sound too much like an ass in this video because I have made every one of the mistakes that I'm about to highlight, but I haven't tried to sell those mistakes in a professional gallery. I'm not going to say where I was or which gallery I was in. It was actually a couple of them, but I was in a tourist town. We'll just leave it at that. And there are multiple professional photo galleries in that town selling really nice images of the area. Kind of what happens. And I fully support that. And I hope one day I have my gallery of my own. And it's totally going to happen. So some of this may arise out of jealousy, I admit, but they're the ones with the gallery. I'm not, but a little bit of a learning lesson here on what to do when I do have my gallery. We've all done things like replace skies and put a moon somewhere because it looks right, because it looks good, right? I mean, we've all done those things. But I guess as a professional photographer, when I see those things and they're so blatantly obvious, I'm just like, what is going on? So I'm going to show you, I'm not going to share their images. I'm just going to take some of my images and show what I saw in those images in a professional gallery and just kind of a little, I don't know, a little lesson on what to avoid in professional photographs because there are crazy people like me out there who are going to notice. And it's really not that huge of a deal, but I notice. And if I notice, other people are going to notice. And it just feels like our customers deserve better. I hope that this comes across as not as me being superior, because I am not. You know, some of these people are far better photographers than I am. But all of that said, check this out. I am not opposed to changing out skies in a photograph. I used to be pretty darn anti that, but I get it. Sometimes there's a time and place to replace the sky in your photo. But let's be careful with it and let's do it right. It's funny because as I was preparing for this video and creating some examples, it was hard to make a mistake because I think the technology has gotten so darn good that it's difficult to really make it look bad. But still, it's going to happen. And there are some things that we should be aware of as photographers to avoid, especially when we're selling a super high-end print. You know, some of these prints that I saw were $3,000, $7,000, and that's a very significant investment for somebody. And the other caveat is I know that most buyers aren't pixel peeping. They're not up there with their flashlight and their eyeballs looking as close as possible to the pixels on these photos. But all that said, there's still things that come across that should be avoided. And let's take this photo as an example here. These are the minarets in, I think I'm pronouncing that right, but in the eastern Sierra Nevada mountains in California. And let's say that we wanted to switch the sky out here. This is a pretty standard photograph, nothing really extraordinarily special about it, but we could probably make it super special if we replace the sky, right? So here we are in Lightroom. Let's adjust it like this. So here we are in Lightroom, and we're just going to right click on this, and we're going to edit this in Photoshop and do a sky replacement. First, I want to show you some of the stuff that I saw in these galleries, and I'll share a couple of examples. First thing I do is unlock our layer here. That's not imperative for replacing a sky, but I just make it a habit to always do that. I'm going to go edit, and we're going to come down here to sky replacement. You can't see my edit because it's cut off the screen recording, but you go up to edit and then sky replacement. Now, Photoshop is automatically going to put in the last sky that you were using. So I was experimenting here, and we can probably just use this same sky that it puts in here. And this is actually it's fine. Some of the things we need to consider are light direction, and I'll show you an example here on our next photo. But some of the stuff that I've seen is this. This is a huge, huge problem. And I've seen this in multiple images in multiple galleries now, where it's so obvious that a sky has been replaced because, look, if we zoom in here, we can see that the sky overlaps the peaks. And it just looks terrible and obviously has been a replaced sky. And for some reason, that detail gets missed. But what you can do to easily fix that is Well, I'll have to cancel out of that and go back in to sky replacement. But we have our shift edge here. And so default, it comes in at 0, and that is usually good enough. Sometimes it's not. Like for the example, I moved this way up, and that's where you can start to see the encroachment there on the peaks. But if you bring that shift edge down, you're going to start to see a much better result. And we go too high, and it puts that sky directly over the thing that we're trying to put the sky behind, and that's just not right. So if we go here to about 0, or even just a little bit below 0, it's going to look much more natural, and we can adjust our brightness if we want. And that sky looks fairly decent. We have to think of light source also. Like it's clear that the light is coming in from the front. Like this is an afternoon shot, and so the sun is pretty much behind me as the photographer here. So it's a little weird to put the sky or the sun behind the mountain and on the left, because the light doesn't make sense. It's not going to fall like that. So that's another thing to consider, and I have a much better example of that. But that's the first example I wanted to show you, so I'm just going to hit OK there. I'm going to cancel out of here. I'm not going to save. I'm going to go back into Lightroom, and let's look at this example. Clearly, this is a bright afternoon. It's approaching sunset. The sun is setting way off to the left here, and you can see that the sun is illuminating these from the left. Now, one of the things that I've seen happen kind of a lot is somebody will go in and replace a sky, and you'll see that it's going to pull up the same sky that we were just working with. So we go into edit again, and we're going to go into sky replacement, and we'll show a couple examples here. So let's say we wanted to put in a sky that was like, I don't know, maybe this one. And the thing that we start to run into is clearly the sky and the foreground and the background of this image are mismatched. Mismatched. This was a late afternoon, and so those mountains are just kind of misty and purple in the distance, and the sky really highlights that, and it looks terrible. But I've seen that mistake, even just like that. This sky is a very common Photoshop sky, and that's another thing that I would like to say is that if you do replace a sky, use your own. Like shoot your own sky while you're on location, and then use that sky. Don't use one of the Photoshop defaults, because these skies are accessible to everybody. Everybody can use these, and this is a very popular one you see often. So if you ever see this sky out there, I mean, it's a clear indication that there's been a sky replacement, which again is fine, but make it make sense. In this example, the sun is clearly setting straight behind this sky scene. You see, there's the sun there, and so it doesn't make sense lighting wise to have the sun behind when it's coming from the left. It just doesn't make sense, and we need to watch out for that same overlap situation and a matching of the foreground, which this clearly does not. But I've seen this sky, you guys. I have seen this sky in galleries, and again, it's there to be used. Okay, fine, but it, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a dick, but it sure drives me crazy. If we were to use a sky like this, clearly that's not a good option. But this one, look, I mean, I've seen where they place the sun to the right when the light source is to the left, and why are we doing that? Why are we doing that, my friends? Like, just think about this, and a quick way to adjust this is you can just go to the flip function. You can flip it, and now, at the very least, the sun's coming from the right direction. We still have to deal with the foreground and stuff, but it's at least it's coming from the right way. So my advice, if it is worth anything to you, is to pick a sky where the light is coming from the correct direction, or at least flip it so that it is coming from the right direction. And make sure that the sky matches the foreground. Here's a sky that seems to work pretty well. Actually, we have the light coming from mostly the right direction, and we have very minimal overlap here, which is actually looking pretty good. And then we could always just play with it a little bit more and make sure that we're safe. But a sky replacement should not be noticeable. There should be nothing about it. You should just look at it and have it be natural, and let's not even assume that the sky has been replaced. So you got to think about the light in the rest of the photograph, the light of the foreground. Where is the light coming from? How is the sky interacting with the rest of your scene? And for some reason, that gets forgotten. But if we zoom in here, this one looks pretty good. You see there's a little osprey in that nest, which is pretty cool. So that sky replacement looks decent. It's still a little bit overdone for the rest of the scene. I think we might have to warm up the water or make that work. But just an example. The other thing that I see happen is the moon. Okay, I'm going to close this. I'm not going to save it out. Let's go to this photograph. This one was taken after sunset, so there's no light coming up on these. But let's say I wanted to make this a moon scene. Oh my gosh, you guys. I've seen this, like, I saw this at least 3 times in the 2 galleries that I went in. And it blows me away. It truly blows me away that this happens. So I'm going to open up this moon in Photoshop. And this is what I think is happening in some of these. Somebody will say, hey, I want a moon in my scene. They're going to take a picture of a moon that they have taken previously, perhaps, and select that moon. You can do that with your object selection tool right here, and it'll select the moon and select whatever object that you select. And all you have to do is Command C to copy it, come back over here to your scene, and Command V to paste it. And this is fine. We can just hit OK here, and it's going to paste our moon. Then we can grab our little move tool up here, and we can move our moon in place wherever we want it to be. Maybe we have the moon over here. Guys, I've even seen that people place the moon like this. So it's sitting over the mountaintop or in front of clouds or something. It just doesn't make sense. And obviously, don't do that. There are ways to get the moon behind there. So if you are interested in that, let me know, and I can do a video on how to place the moon behind some of these things. But for this example, I'm not going to do that. Let's just say we wanted to place the moon right here. We're going to click our little arrow key, and okay, now we've got a moon. But there's a couple problems. We don't have a moon reflection, which we would probably have in real life. And if we zoom in on this, look how terrible this moon looks. That's clearly been cut out of a dark or black background and has a ring around it. And this has been in high-end galleries of moonshots. And are people going to notice that? They might. They might not. I don't know. But other professionals might see your work. And, again, if they have a gallery and they have photos and they're selling them for big bucks, good for them. They're making it happen for themselves. And I fully support that. It just drives me crazy to see imperfections and obviously faked images. And I think we're at the point where faked images are just going to be accepted, but let's at least make them look as real as possible and not have these amateurish edits come through. There is a way around that. It would be to either go in and use your clone tool and manually get rid of that line, which is possible. It takes a little bit of time and a steady hand, but you could go through there and just kind of start to take that out. We'd have to flatten this image into 1 here and then do it. But you could go in there and just kind of take that ring out. Okay, fine. You could do that. But another way to do it is if you want to place a moon, use a replace sky that has the moon in it that you want to use instead of just placing the moon. So what I would say here is that we would open this back up in Photoshop, and instead of placing a moon, we're just going to do a replace sky that has the moon already in it. And again, I'm just going to unlock this. I'm going to come down to Edit and Sky Replacement. And again, it's going to choose the last sky that we used. I don't know if there's a way to make it not do that. There probably is, but I'm too lazy. So then what I'll do is just come down to a moon sky that I've already added. You can add pictures, just click this little plus button here, and then you can just go select the image and the sky image that you would like to use. So I've already done that a lot. All these are skies that I've experimented with to create this video, etc. And here's a moonshot. Maybe this moonshot would fit. So if I wanted to put this in, I'd want to bring this down a little bit. And okay, like there's some more work that would need to be done on this image. Here's another thing to consider is watch your edges. You place a sky, and I've seen this also, where you place your sky and there's just a leftover. There's a section of the sky that was missed. So you just want to make sure that your sky is perfectly lined up. You can also increase the scale of your sky, which is going to make your moon bigger, but it's also going to make sure that you don't have those spaces on the edge. So again, that's something to consider, and doing this is going to help you get your moon behind certain features also. So you could place this. And there's another way to do it too. If you were just going to place the moon, we could select the objects in front and remove them and put them back. But for this example, I don't think we need to do that. But you can see that this at least looks like the moon is supposed to be in the sky. I'm not saying the sky is a perfect match for this foreground, but it could potentially work. We could bring it into Lightroom and do a little bit more on bringing this into a night look. We could cool it down a little bit and add some reflection in the moon. But I think this is a better way than just pasting a moon that has a big black ring around it. So the third thing that I wanted to mention is resolution, but resolution really isn't as important as getting these details right, because there's this rule in printing art and photography that, I mean, when you're like, most people aren't me. Most people aren't going to see a picture on the wall and put their nose up to it and look for imperfections. Like I admit that that's weird and that most people don't do that, but I do. Most people will view the image from a long distance away, from across a room or from in bed or from sitting at the table or whatever. And generally the distance that you are to view an image from is about twice the length of the diagonal line. So like a 24 by 36 print has a diagonal of about 43 inches. We multiply that by 2, roughly 7 feet, 80 inches or so. And so a 24 by 36 image should be viewed from about 7 feet away. At that distance, you're not going to see those tiny little details. You're not going to see resolution that might be not great. For me, it's not okay. I mean, I've made that mistake a lot, to be clear. I have made that mistake a lot. But it's all up to you. It's all you creating your own art and having fun and creating the image that best represents your experience in the field and your experience shooting and creating the world that you want to create. We're all welcome to do that. We have that creative license to shoot whatever we want, edit whatever we want, and sell whatever we want. Personally, I was put off by some of the quality issues that I saw in these galleries. And maybe it's just a thing. Maybe people just accept it. But for me, it was a good lesson in learning what not to do and trying to make my work as good as possible. I'm still going to make mistakes. I'm going to make a ton of mistakes. And please do call them out when you see them, because that's how we all improve. It's just, it means a lot to me to have work that people would recommend, that people would purchase, and I believe that they deserve the best, and I'm going to do my best to deliver that, and I hope you do too. The most important thing is to have fun and to produce the art that means something to your soul, and it really doesn't matter what any other asshole thinks, me included. Like, it just doesn't matter.